Thank you, Father John. And my sincere welcome to all of you for this, the 63rd commencement exercise of Gilmour. What a wonderful celebration to gather here this morning to honor our graduates who are going to and have been prepared for their next threshold. What a wonderful group of people reaching all the way from Canada, China, Korea, Sweden, and 17 states to gather here this morning to tell these young people that they are ready and we expect them to be ready and to go forward to make a difference in the world. We want them to be young people who are well educated and think out of the box. Our commencement speaker today, Mr. Kenn Ricci, does just that. He has spent over 30 years developing innovative services in the aviation industry. He is a current Gilmour parent with sons in the lower and upper school and serves as a member of the Academy's Board of Trustees. In 1980, Mr. Ricci founded Wings, an aircraft management and charter operation providing charter flight service to corporate clients. In 1990, he founded a highly successful maintenance service organization, Inertial Airline Services, which provided service and repair electronic and avionic systems. In 1998, Mr. Ricci revolutionized the fractional aircraft ownership industry when he founded Flight Options. His marketing and strategic leadership took the company from inception to an annual sales of over $600 million in just 4 years. Flight Options merged with Raytheon Travel Air in 2002, and with a fleet of over 2,200 aircraft, 1,500 employees, and almost 1,000 pilots, Kenn had grown Flight Options to rank as the second largest company in the industry. Mr. Ricci was honored as an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2000 and has been named one of the most influential people in aviation by Aviation International News. In 2010, he received the Harvard Business School's Dively Entrepreneurship Award and recently was the youngest recipient of the prestigious William Ong Award for extraordinary achievement and extended meritorious service to the general aviation industry. His management strategies have been featured in the Wall Street Journal and Inc. magazine. He is the author of Management by Trust, a book featuring practical management techniques for building employee trust and success. Mr. Ricci graduated from the University of Notre Dame and the Cleveland Marshall Law School. He's a licensed airline transport pilot with extensive international experience. He was Governor Bill Clinton's pilot when he ran for president in 1992. Kenn serves on several corporate boards and is an aviation advisor to the Guggenheim Aero Opportunity Fund. In addition to his position as a member of Gilmour's trustees, he also serves on the Business Advisory Council of the University of Notre Dame, the Board of Trustees of University Hospitals, and the National Board of Child Health. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kenn Ricci.
Thank you, Brother Robert. Congratulations to the graduates. Congratulations to their parents. Welcome to the faculty, the administrators, and the trustees. And welcome to all of you who made the 6-ticket cut and were able to get in today. When Brother Robert asked me to be the commencement speaker, I was honored that I would be able to participate in such an important and significant event. Do you realize that this is the last mandatory lecture the students will have to listen to before they graduate? So I decided to prepare with the same devoted intensity that the students do when they have an exam or when they have to do a term paper or something. So last night I drank 2 Red Bulls and I began to assemble my thoughts. And as I was thinking about what I was going to say, I remembered that I couldn't remember who my commencement speaker was. I couldn't remember what the commencement speaker had said. I did remember that my dad let me have a beer at my graduation party, my first beer. But I couldn't remember what the speaker talked about. Now, my mom had remembered that 38 years ago, in 1974, the speaker had talked about technology. Well, I looked it up, and sure enough, the speaker had talked about technology at my high school commencement. In fact, he had said to keep up with technology, but not to let it dominate your life. He said, while technology is important, it's not everything. For instance, he said, technology could never replace face-to-face communication. And he could see no reason why anyone would ever want a computer in their home. By the way, if you have any comments on my speech, you can either text me or email me when you get home tonight. So, Mom had remembered, and it made me realize that it's the parents who remember the commencement address. So parents, you've had many assignments over the years. You've had to get your students up and on time for school. You've had to be nice to their teachers. You've had to be especially nice to Mr. Teisel. And you had to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning for prom. And now your last high school assignment is to remember my words of wisdom and be prepared to remind the students of what I said. So you ask, now what? Well, for most of you, it will mean college. And college comes with the traditional drop-off. If it's anything like my drop-off at Notre Dame, you'll go up on a Friday. You want to get there early Saturday morning so you don't get the bottom bunk, and you don't want the bed by the door where it's really noisy. Saturday, then, you'll go to Target or Walmart to get some things to make your room look homey. And then later in the afternoon, you'll send your dad back to Walmart to get the stuff you forgot. And then that night, there's typically a freshman orientation dinner, as the students call the Last Supper. It will be sometime during dessert when the students will tell you, the parents, that they're very tired from all the activities of the day and they just want to go visit with their new roommate. Don't be confused. They're on their way to their first college party. Sunday, there will be a tearful goodbye, and then the drive home will seem much longer than the drive there. And that's what happens at most drop-offs. That's not, however, what happened when I got dropped off at Notre Dame. See, we're Italian, and so we have a traditional Sunday dinner. So my parents thought they would stay for the dinner and then leave that night. And it was at that dinner that I learned, well, they might as well stay the next day to see how my Monday and Wednesday classes went. They were going to have a little lunch, and then they were going to leave. Well, at that lunch, they decided, well, you can't just stay for the Monday, Wednesday classes. You got to see the Tuesday, Thursday classes. So they stayed one more day. Thank goodness Notre Dame had a home football game that weekend, and the hotel had to get them out of their room. Otherwise, they might have been there all semester. As my parents were finally leaving on Wednesday, my dad came up to me, and he said to me, use your time in college to explore some different things. He said, take some different subjects. Don't be afraid to fail. He said, but find the thing you're passionate about. He gave me a hug, and he began to walk down the hallway of my dorm. My mom and dad got about 12 feet down the hallway, and my mom turned around, and she came back up, and she said to me, and be careful you don't get any diseases. I'm proud to say that I did graduate from Notre Dame, and I did not get any diseases. I was a business major, but I did explore other subjects. I took a class in astronomy. I took a class in ceramics. I took a class in Jungian philosophy, where I learned that I was not the center of the universe, and I took a class in Buddhism, where I learned I was. Having followed my dad's advice, I found a passion for flying and for aviation. And I clearly remember my graduation day when I told him about this. Now, I've only seen my dad cry twice in his life. Once when his mother died, and the second time when his son, with a 4-year degree from the University of Notre Dame, bachelor's in business administration, major in accounting, with 3 job offers from Big 8 accounting firms, told him I was giving it up to become a pilot. I'm sure what my dad meant to say was to be passionate about something he thought I should be passionate about. What you'll find is it's not unusual for people to tell you what you should be passionate about. Friends and family will do this. We hear this in the media all the time. They're always telling us what we should do. In fact, there's a story about a father who asks his son to come into the office at the family business. And the son comes in, and the father hands him a stock certificate. And he says, "Son, I'm so excited." He said, "This has been a dream of mine." He said, "I'm handing you 50% ownership in our family business." He says, "Ever since you were a little boy, I imagined that we'd be working together, co-workers, engaged in the same thing for the rest of our lives. Here you go." So I'm very happy. So he looked at his son and he said, "So now that we're co-owners," he says, "what is it you'd like to do for the business?" He says, "Perhaps you could work on the production floor, get to know our employees." The son said, "Dad, that's very dirty and noisy down there. I really don't think that's where I'd want to start." He said, "Okay, how about you go into sales? You go out, you meet our customers, you can figure out how we can better serve them." He said, "Dad, I don't know." He said, "That sales, you travel a lot, you're away from home. I don't think that's really where I want to go." He said, "All right, well, then we'll start you in accounting. You can learn about how we finance our business, about how we make it." He goes, "Dad, accounting?" He goes, "Come on, you're in that little room, you have all those spreadsheets." He goes, "And Dad, I was never really, really good in math." There's a pause. He finally looks at his dad. He goes, "You know what, Dad?" He goes, "Why don't you just buy me out?" See, the son had made the right decision. It wasn't his passion. It was his father's passion. And what you're passionate about can't be what someone else wants you to do, because at the end of the day, you can't live someone else's life. You have to live your own life. You can't find your passion on the internet. You can't Google it. It's not on Facebook. It's in your heart. And when you find what you're passionate about, you'll be very good at it. When you're doing something you love, you will be successful. Now, it's important to correctly define success. It can't just be about the accumulation of things. It can't be about the accumulation of money, because those are just merely metrics. And you'll find that the more focused you become on those metrics, the farther you become from what your true passion is. Accumulation for accumulation's sake is not a passion, it's an addiction. So, Aristotle was Alexander's teacher. And Aristotle asked Alexander, he said, "Alexander, what do you want to do with your life?" And Alexander said, "Well, I have a vision that I will unify the city-states of Greece." And Aristotle said, "That's good." He said, "What do you plan to do after that?" And he said, "Well, then I plan to unify the area around the Mediterranean. We'll have trading and economic power all throughout the region." And Aristotle said, "Okay." He says, "What do you want to do after that?" He says, "Well, after that, I think I'll conquer the world. I'm going to take over all of civilization." And Aristotle said, "Okay, what do you want to do after that?" And Alexander was a little taken aback. He said, "Well, Aristotle, I've just conquered the world." He goes, "Maybe I'll just go fishing." And Aristotle said, "Well, have you considered skipping the first three and just going fishing now?" See, Aristotle was forcing Alexander to define success. Now, as you graduate from Gilmour, I believe you know how to define success. See, you've come a long way since you began at Gilmour. You were talented, intelligent, and artistic students who started out mostly concerned about yourselves. I know this because I have a son in the 4th grade. Along the way, you learn the importance of friendship and of community and service to others and compassion. And I know this because I have a son in the 11th grade. See, Gilmour has exposed us to our obligation to serve others. It's not an accident that you have to participate in service hours in order to graduate. It's not enough to merely find our passion. We must incorporate the component of service into what we do. We must marry the passion that's in our hearts with what we've been taught here at Gilmour in compassion that's come from our family and our years of learning here. The diploma you receive today is not only proof of your qualification to be of service of others, but it's also a reminder of your obligation to do so. And so, parents, When you're asked what the Gilmour commencement speaker said to the Gilmour class of 2012, remind them that he said to be passionate about what you do and compassionate about how you do it. Oh, and one other thing, remember this, and this is important, free credit cards are not free.